fight her.
Oh, big right hand! One punch! That is it! Forget about the count. It is over!
Hi everyone, I'm Sasha from Women's Fight News. Today I'm joined by fellow Scouser and unbeaten Southpaw, Skelly. Carly, thanks for joining us today.
Oh no, it's a pleasure to be on.
Perfect. Now, we're in lockdown, our third one in the UK, which is just unbelievable. I think if you look 12 months ago, who would have thought we'd still be here? How are you getting on in lockdown at the minute?
All right. Obviously the kids, I've got two boys, the kids are both off school, so and then being the only girl in the house, it can be quite of a nightmare, to be honest. But it's lovely having them home as well, being so involved with them. It's just being outnumbered by three boys. I can literally be demented with it sometimes. Yeah. Luckily enough, I do boxing and I get to hit a lot of pads and bags to get rid of all that stress.
Yeah, I can imagine. And are you homeschooling them at the minute?
So their school's been really good, and they've both been provided with like a laptop, and they're doing like Google Classroom, so their teachers come on and do a lot of it. So I know some schools have been like sending work home and the parents have had to be really involved. So luckily enough for me, my school's been really good and took it off me.
Pick the right school then.
Yeah, they asked me for help and I look, like my youngest is 8 and he's asking me for help on his maths and I look and I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Just Google it. Has this new lockdown affected your training at all?
No, I've still been able to train right throughout. So I've been lucky,
Yeah. Get out the house for a bit.
Even like my partner Paul, he's a boxing coach himself. So I've always got him at home. So I've got the gym and then I've got him as well. So yeah. I'm lucky.
Does he train you or have you got another coach?
So no, Paul used to train me. He's an amateur boxing coach. So when I actually started boxing, Paul started doing all the coaching badges. So he was dead involved with me in the amateurs. And then when I turned over, he's not got his pro license. So I'm just with Sid Stanky, he's my professional coach. He was my amateur as well. So I'm with him again. So
oh, that's nice.
Yeah, which is lovely.
Yeah. And where do you train?
North Mersey.
Oh, okay. Not far.
Go on, say good night. Sorry, I'm just going to say good night to my little one. It's just, love you very much. See you in the morning. Good night.
Oh. Is he your 8-year-old?
So he's my 8-year-old. Jerry's just going to bed now.
Oh, ready for school tomorrow, homeschool.
Yeah, well, it's a day off, isn't it? But on Saturday tomorrow. So.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, but that's
don't make them work on a weekend.
You lose the days, don't you? Because you're in all the time. You forget when it's the weekend. You forget what month you're in. Yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you turned pro, didn't you, in 2019? Is that right?
So it was 2 years ago. So yeah.
I did quickly done. I was like, because it's not that long ago at all, and I was like, no way. So how long was you an amateur for?
I think I was in the amateurs for 4 years.
Yeah.
3 years. I think it would have been.
Yeah. So what age did you take up boxing?
So I didn't start till 29. I'm 34 now.
Oh, okay. And what made you get into it?
I'd done a charity fight.
Yeah.
Just really enjoyed it. And then obviously because Paul, he used to box himself. He said, you've done well, so you should carry it on if you want to do it, because you knew how much I was enjoying the training. And he took me to his old gym, and that was it then.
Yeah, just hook then after that.
Yeah.
Did you win your first fight, your charity fight?
Yeah.
That's why then.
Yeah.
Might have been different if you lost.
Yeah, if I would have got the loss, you know, this mightn't have been happening right now.
What was you doing before you started boxing?
I'm a children's nurse as well.
Yeah.
So I was actually, before it started, I was off. Once I had Thomas, my little one, I had a little bit of time out after him, and that's why I ended up getting into the training. So I was on like a bit of running, I was on like a marathon, a few half marathons, and from there it led to like I ended up injured, and then ended up getting into the boxing. So I kind of got into boxing when I weren't doing anything. I was like a full-time mum, but then I then got back into my nursing, and then was doing it all together.
Yeah. How did you find time?
I don't know. Do you know what? I think my boxing was my escape. It was my time away from everything. So
yeah. And are you still a nurse now?
Yeah, but I'm agency, so I can pick and choose my own shifts. And since my previous fight in October, because I was really lucky, I had a lot of sponsors on board and stuff, I've kind of like took a little bit of a step back from the nursing and just focused on my boxing.
Yeah.
So, and the same since after my fight, I've not done any shifts as of yet. So and then getting this news today, I think I'll be off for a little bit longer.
Oh, amazing. So just training full time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So your news today obviously was that your rematch has been announced, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And is it for the 20th of February?
20th of February, it is, yeah.
Yeah. So how are you feeling about that?
Really, really excited. Obviously the previous fight, it was a draw. There's unfinished business there. I felt like, well, not even that I felt like, I know I've won the fight and I just want to get back in there and get the belt. That's mine.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that night thought you'd won. I think, you're scrolling through social media and Twitter and all of that. And I think a lot of people had said 2, maybe even 3 rounds you were up on that one. What was it like when you heard that draw, when they'd announced it was a draw?
It was quite disappointing, because I knew in there I'd done enough, but obviously like your adrenaline's going, and sometimes because you're in there you can't actually see it. So I thought, well, you know what, just watch it back and then say me opinions out louder then. And I was just, I knew I'd done enough, and then after it I watched it back and I seen all like the feedback of everyone, and everybody thought the same as me. I think Amy knew this. Well, she did know the same. You could see the look in her face. She knew she'd lost, so I think she was absolutely made up with the draw. I think the only person that maybe thought it was like a crazy decision was a coach. I seen his interview afterwards, and he was quite annoyed, as if she'd been completely ripped off, which was quite surprising. Like, but
oh really? I've not seen that interview.
Yeah, it's worth a watch.
Yeah. I know what I'll do after this one then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think at the end of that fight, you could see like you were obviously disappointed. I think you thought you'd got the win. I think Amy did look somewhat relieved, because obviously if you feel like you've lost, a draw is kind of a win, really, isn't it, at the end of the day?
It just gives you that opportunity to redo it again. Then you've not lost your opportunity as such.
Yeah, exactly. And that fight was postponed, wasn't it, like 2 or 3 times before you'd finally got the night?
Yeah, it was it was a really long training camp. We were originally thinking we were fighting in August, then it was September, and then it ended up in October. So I think I ended up training like for 5 months for it. So I was like, I was getting really, really fit, and then we'd like slow it down a little bit, and then we'd get back into it, and then it'd change again. So yeah, it was a long time, a long training camp.
Yeah, and then
it was worth it in the end for the show that it ended up on. Like I believe everything's meant for a reason. So
yeah, definitely. Because what show was you initially meant to be on?
We were on a smaller show in Manchester, and I never really had all the details, so I wasn't actually sure. It was meant to be August, which didn't actually get announced, and then the one in September I think was the one that did get announced. But obviously with everything with COVID, I think that was what was causing to be the problem with it. It just kept falling through, and then luckily enough, I think it was Amy's manager managed to get her on that show. So it worked out well.
Worth the long training camp, because I bet
Yeah,
that wasn't easy either, because you're obviously trying to peak at the right time.
yeah,
So it's having to do them adjustments, like you say, is difficult then.
yeah, that's it. You were just kind of like, you were getting to like the level of where you wanted to be, and then you're like, right, it's going to be a bit longer now, so you were having to slow it down again and then pick it up again and doing that up and down. But again, like, I just use it in the fact that it gave me longer to work on stuff. I got a lot more sparring in, so even though it can be frustrating, you just have to flip it around quickly. You can't like keep yourself in that mood too long, as in like, oh, otherwise, you cry all the time.
Yeah.
That's boxing for you. That's just the way it is.
And then on the night, I think, was you initially meant to be on before the Sky show? Was you meant to be on Facebook Live?
Yeah,
I think
we were on the Facebook Live, and for somebody else, I think they were on the first the first fight on Sky, and something happened. I think it was their team ended up testing positive for COVID, so it kind of like pushed us up. So like, it really sad for the other person, but for me, it worked out well, and obviously, like, a lot of people got to watch, because a lot of people mightn't have known who I was before this fight. In all fairness, I think Amy's obviously, she's got like the manager Dave Caldwell. She's got like a bit more of a recognition, a bit more of following. So I think I come in as like the underdog. I don't think a lot of people knew me, but yeah, I think after the fight, I think that's a bit different now.
Yeah, you swayed people, because I think even like with the bookies, I think Amy was favourite. I think there was obviously a height difference, which always seems to sway people for some reason, even though it doesn't really mean anything. And then I think you'd obviously proved a lot of people wrong. And I think getting that slot on Sky, I think, because people still would have tuned in, of course, on the Facebook Live.
Yeah.
But not everyone knows that's always on. I think people go, oh, the boxing's on at 7 on TV.
Yeah.
When you knew you were going to be on TV, did you get any extra nerves, or was you just so focused on the fight ahead?
No, I was just really focused, and I was actually really, really calm going into the fight. I just thought, because it had been such a long camp, and it kept getting put off, and then it ended up on a big show, and then it ended up where it went on Facebook, and it was actually on the main event. I felt like everything was happening for a reason, so I just went with it, enjoyed it, and thought, you know what, this is my time, so I'm just going to enjoy it all.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be you going forward, really, isn't it? Now, like, you should be on these like big shows on TV. Is that what you're expected in all your future fights now?
Yeah, 100%. It's obviously, when you start, and it's really, really hard. Like, when you're on like smaller shows and you're trying to sell tickets and stuff, it's hard to be seen by people. So if people don't know you, you're not getting these bigger fights, and you're not getting on this bigger platform. It's really difficult. So now that I've been on such a big platform and people have seen, it gives me more of an opportunity now. Like, the weight that I'm at, I've come up a weight. Usually I'd be bantamweight, and we've come up for this super bantamweight. But I know, like, between bantamweight, super bantamweight, there's a lot of girls out there. So especially like in this country, there's so much. So there's like a massive opportunity now. Like, obviously there's me and Amy, Shannon Courtney and Rachel Ball, not long boxed, and they're all the same weight and stuff. So that's who I've got my eyes on. I want to go and win my Commonwealth title, and then start looking at the likes of Shannon Courtney, Rachel Ball. There's lots going on, Sam.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, domestically, it's amazing in that division as well. Like, I mean, COVID won't really affect that division, in the sense of, if you happen to have more domestic fights, doesn't matter, because there's so many of you that can fight and make such good fights as well. It keeps it entertaining.
Yeah.
So you've obviously had the experience of the bubble and all of that, the last fight, and obviously it is very, very different. Did you enjoy it, that experience?
Yeah, I did. When we first got there, like, I didn't expect it to be so like locked away. Like, we first got there, we got tested, went to our rooms, and then that was it. Then we weren't allowed to come out. Our food to get brought to the rooms, and when you're stuck in a room, and I think what it is you're waiting for that result. So until you know that you're okay, every minute seems like an hour, every hour seems like a day, and you're just sitting there thinking, imagine all this, and it comes back, and you know, you're positive and you're not even boxing, because some people have been non-symptomatic and tested positive. So you just, I was like thinking, oh, until that test is back. And then when I found out the following morning that it was all negative, and you found out your team was all negative, that was it then. It was really good from there. Matchroom, I put like really looked after everybody. There was a games room, and like we had the gym area, which was all set out really good. So it was a really good week, to be honest. And with me having kids, going away and getting that little bit of time on my own is perfect.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, it must be difficult leading up to your fight when you do have kids and if you're at home, because obviously, you know, you've got nerves. If you're cutting weight, you're probably starving, which doesn't help anyone's mood. No. You'll be tired, and then obviously you've still got kids to look after, so I'm presuming that's quite difficult.
Yeah, it can be, because obviously you see a lot of men who are boxing, and a lot of them will take themselves away, won't they, and go away for a little bit. Being a mum, I can't do that. I'm like my fella Paul, he works, so I'm at home with the kids. So it's more the things of being tired and, you know, just being a bit short with everyone. Like everybody gets a bit short with me because I'm constantly like, right, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, I'm too hungry. Luckily enough, coming off a weight, hunger isn't something that I'm going through right now. But yeah, it is hard, and it's the bubble, being away for that week's like lovely.
Yeah, like a holiday.
Yeah, Paul always says to me, like, why don't you go and stay in your mum's for a week? Stay there for a few weeks. It's hard on them as well. It's not just hard on me. It's hard on them trying to, you know, the kids are like, Mum, and I'm like,
I'm tired.
I'm hungry, I'm tired. But luckily enough, they're all amazing, and they put up with me well.
And it's only for a few weeks, isn't it? And then it'll be out of the way then.
Yeah.
And then I suppose with the bubble as well, and it being behind closed doors, you don't have that pressure of ticket sales, which I always find quite difficult for boxers. And then you're the one having to sort it out. It's quite stressful, I think, at times.
Yeah, definitely. When I first got the fight in October, and a lot of people were saying, you know, because it was my first like big televised show. It was for the title, and everyone was like, oh, bet you're gutted because people can't come. And I was, obviously, but the main thing I thought is I don't have to sell tickets. I can just go into this camp and train and not focus on selling tickets and worry about anything. I can just crack on with my training. So obviously you want people there. It's amazing to have everybody there on such a big show, but not having to worry about tickets is a massive bonus.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I think that probably is the worst part about getting a fight. I think at times it always seems it's stressful. I think you've got pressure on how many tickets you need to sell at times and things like that, so it takes it away. So obviously you've got your next fight coming up. You've experienced that bubble and all of that, so is it going to make it easier this time because you know what to expect going in with that kind of strange atmosphere?
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes the unknown, you do feel a little bit like, oh, you don't know what to expect and stuff. So knowing exactly how the setup is definitely a good thing, because I probably I'm quite like, when it comes to fighting, I don't seem to get the fight nerves as such. I'll enjoy that, but the rest of it all, like, you know, the cameras and things like that, that's probably what I found the toughest bit on my first one. So now I know what to expect. I'll be able to go in there a lot more chilled. So it's easier, isn't it? And what's it like being, because I'm presuming you would have bumped into Amy quite a lot during that week, so what's that like? Yeah, we were roommates. We were next door to each other.
Were you?
Yeah, so when we first got there, I was when the food would come, they'd knock on your door to let you know your food was there, and I opened the door, and then as I opened, the person in front of me opened their door, and it was her coach. And then he kind of like looked and started laughing, and then I turned to my left, and Amy was like getting her food at the same time. And he said, like, I just couldn't have put us any closer.
Yeah, I thought you'd all be like on separate ends or different floors.
I think he had a few floors and like plenty of rooms, but yeah, they put us nice and close. But yeah, it didn't make a difference where we were, to be fair.
Yeah, and so did you just ignore each other all the time when you were bumping into each other?
Yeah, you know, boxing's like a really respectful sport, and after a fight, I'll always show that respect. But before it, we're going for it's war. There is no niceness there from my end. So yeah, I just keep myself in the zone, focused, and there's no interaction and stuff. And obviously after this fight, we couldn't have had that anything after it, because there's unfinished business there. Yeah, and you know we're hoping you were going to have that rematch. Yeah, I should have been coming home with that belt, and I didn't. So until I've got that, the war's still not over.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And are you going to go into this fight? I mean, because in your eyes, you've won that fight, and I think a lot of people think you've won that fight. So are you going to go in with a similar game plan, or do you think you're going to have to do something different to kind of sway the judges this time?
Obviously I'm going to have to do something different to sway the judges, because I'd in my eyes, and I, like you say, a lot of people's eyes, I'd won the fight and I've not got the decision, so I'm going to have to do more to win them. And yeah, we've been working on our game plans. Yeah, so
yeah. And are you expecting Amy to come out and do anything different? Because I don't think she was happy with her performance. I don't know whether they possibly didn't get their tactics quite right on that one. So are you expecting anything different?
I don't really know whether she'll do much more different beforehand. The talk before the fight, Amy said that she's going to bring a fight to me, and she likes to go to war. She likes to go toe to toe. I didn't feel like she did that in the first fight. So whether she wants to try that this time, because that's what she didn't do and she'd promised it. But then, I love a good war. I love a good terror, but that's what I'm good at. So if she brings that game, I'm ready for it. But but I'm ready for that and much more as well. So I'm versatile in what I've got. So I'm interested to see what she does bring.
Yeah. And then you've now done because that was your first 10-round fight, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think in a way it looked like you breezed through. I don't think you'd had any problems. You didn't blow out, I don't think, in any of the rounds. So does that give you even more confidence going into this, going, actually I could probably push it up even like another level possibly?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's maybe what has been the issue, is because it was my first 10 rounds and I didn't want to get to like the 6th, 7th round being like, oh my God, I'm struggling here. So I think I probably reined it in for the first like 5 rounds. And then I think later on in the fight, I knew I could keep going, and that's when I put it on. And I think I've done a lot better in the last half of my fight. So now I know what I'm capable of and how to deal with the 10-round fight. So I can put it on a lot quicker and know that I can manage to do that. So I've definitely got a lot more confidence going into this one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So in your head, you're obviously going into this fight, you're going to win. I'm presuming there's going to be no doubt about that. Otherwise, you wouldn't be stepping into the ring. So you'll be coming home with the Commonwealth title. Are you already thinking about possible plans after that, or are you just so focused on this fight?
I like to just focus on what's in front of me. So for me right now, I just want to win this title. Obviously you're always thinking about stuff and you're always watching and stuff. So I do definitely see fights with Shannon Courtney and Rachel Ball in the future, but that's something I'll think of more so after this fight.
Yeah. I think they'd be amazing fights as well. And I think the interesting one is like the Rachel Ball fight. I mean, because obviously her height compared to your height, because I think, how tall are you?
So I'm 5'1".
Yeah, so you're just always being the smaller fighter.
And I've always been the smaller fighter, so it's something that I'm used to, being small. So,
and that's why I think it'll be interesting, because you are always going to be one of the smaller fighters, and normally the smaller fighter in the ring, so you're going to be used to that. So I think that would be a really interesting fight actually, and see how then Rachel would cope with that. Because I think people think the taller fighter has the advantage, but that's not always the case when they're punching down and things like that. So it'd be interesting to see how Rachel would possibly deal with someone like you. And obviously you've said you like to tear it up as well, so I think that would be an interesting fight.
Hopefully that'll be one that we'll get this year then.
Because I think, obviously I think Rachel's fighting, isn't she? And I think there could be obviously a few titles domestically. I think there's going to be so many of you that are holding these titles as well, which is so exciting.
And it's amazing for like women's boxing. It's nice that so many people from like England and Britain, and we're all doing so well. So it's exciting times. And that's what you want. You want the people to be out there. You want the good level fights. You wanna be challenged yourself. So it's really good that there's such a good bunch of women in the country for us all to fight each other.
And because Amy was only your 4th fight, was it?
Yeah, that was my fourth
fight. So if you look, I mean, maybe in the men's game where the pool's bigger, I think it's easier to get kind of journeymen and stuff like that. So you're looking at these fights a lot later down the line. I think this is what makes women's boxing so exciting, is that you kind of, in a way, force these big fights early on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but why not?
The men have got like so many journeymen, and there's so many at a good standard, so they've got a few to get through, and there's a lot more politics, I think, isn't there, in some of the fights? There's a lot of fights that we're all still waiting to see that haven't quite happened yet. So
a lot of them. Yeah. But it doesn't seem to happen in the women's game. Really doesn't.
No, you seem to see them happen quite quickly, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and no one seems to run from each other either, which is always quite exciting. And obviously you've got this rematch straight away. I think there can be times when fights are finished on a draw and then you'll just never see them two fighters get in the ring again. No,
that's a really frustrating thing. And like a few times I was thinking, you know, I hadn't heard nothing. I was thinking, oh, I hope it doesn't happen, because you can't leave something on a draw. You need that decider, and that's what like the viewers want to see. That if somebody's watched the fight and there's no winner, you're like, no, we need to see that.
Yeah, like, definitely. And especially
like, I'd love to see Terry Harper and Tasha Jonas again. That's a fight I'd love to see.
Yeah, definitely. I always think in boxing it's such a shame when it finishes on a draw. I always think the next fight has to be the rematch. Because when they go off and have other fights or mandatories and stuff, it's a little bit like the Harper Jonas. It'll kind of just get possibly like forgotten about.
Yeah, the longer it takes, it starts to come like white noise in the background, and
you'll never know who won. No. And I think it's frustrating then, isn't it? Like yourself, if you were to go away from that Amy Timlin fight and just, you know, you've won, but on paper you've never known who's won.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a title up for grabs, so it's even more important.
Yeah, so at least we're lucky to redo it again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to let you go soon, because I know it's late and I'm sure you've been training all day and you've been busy, but I don't know if you want to give a shout out to any of your sponsors that have helped
definitely. Out. So I would just like to say a big thank you to all my sponsors. So to start off, I'm going to say thanks to Williamsons Butchers, My Body Therapy, Auto Care Repair, SLJ Civils, Cryo Clinic, Liverpool Canine Fertility, Parnell Sports Bar, Sports Involved, and Universal Staffing Solutions. I literally just want to say like a big thank you, because you've helped me and have been there with me from the beginning of the journey, and without sponsors it makes it so much more difficult trying to not be like take the time out of work, and for you to be there as that financial support so that I can put all the effort into the training makes a massive difference. And all the therapies, like being able to get the sports massages and the cryo and stuff like that, just keeping my body in the best shape possible, and the butchers feeding me, it's just literally I'm overwhelmed with the support that I get from my sponsors, and I love you all, so thank you very much.
Oh, and I'm sure they'll be thrilled when you come home with the Commonwealth title.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll bring it in for you this time.
Yeah. And how do you fit all of them sponsors on your shorts?
You know what? There's not a lot of room, and I've had a few people send in messages tonight, and I'm like, I'm made up like with new sponsors. I'm like, where am I going to fit them?
You'll have to start wearing trousers to fit them all. No, it's amazing. Like I say, it's helped you, and obviously you can now focus on this fight solely as well, which is even better.
Yeah.
Well, Carly, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Good luck on the 20th of February. Good luck with the rest of your training.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll come home, bring the belt back to Liverpool.
Yeah, definitely. And thanks a lot for asking me on the show. I've really enjoyed it. It's been really nice.
Oh, no, thank you so much. And hopefully we can catch up again once you've won that fight on the 20th.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Carly, thank you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
See you soon. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please click like now and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. Thank you. Bye.